Hey guys, it's Miharu, and I love the NPCs that inhabit the levels of Spyro 2 and 3. They're all so unique, with memorable personalities and voices, and they help you feel more at home in their worlds. They're always such a joy to talk to, and I can't wait to see what they'll look like in Reignited. So today I'm counting down my top 10 favorite Spyro NPCs. Number 10. The Fireflies of Spooky Swamp. You can't forget those wonderful haikus. The Fireflies definitely stand out among other NPCs because of their style of speech, but the only reason for them being so low on this list is because I don't remember paying that much attention to Spooky Swamp the first time I played, though I always enjoyed that little mini-boss. And I was too young to recognize they were speaking haiku. I just thought their dialogue boxes were set up weird. Number 9. The Tikis of Molten Crater. The Tikis, along with the seals of Seashell Shore, are most memorable for the fact that you first meet them outside of their portal. As a kid, this was crazy to me. I just loved the fact that you were talking to the level's inhabitants in the homeworld first before entering their area. I was originally going to tie these two, but I have more childhood memories of the Tikis. I would always get so annoyed at them mentioning the Tiki Lodge.
The Tiki Lodge, Tiki Lodge, the Tiki Lodge.
Because they wouldn't shut up about it. But nowadays when I play it, it just makes me smile when I remember those times. Number 8. The Dogs of Haunted Tomb. I love Egyptian-themed levels, and I love dogs, so these guys made this area a lot more significant. Their design is cute, and I always liked how they spoke riddles, even if they were incredibly easy to solve. If only that darn Jamal hadn't made me do that stupid demolition derby, they'd probably be higher on this list. Number 7. The Water Wizards of Mystic Marsh. Next, we have the NPCs from my favorite level of Spyro 2, Mystic Marsh. What even are these guys? Rabbit, puppet, wizard things? Well, no matter how weird they look, they certainly are interesting, and I hear their voices very clearly in my head. Also, Snoozle fell asleep on the job, which I relate to very much while trying to work on these videos. Let's just hope I don't get any snail offense or purple monkeys coming after me. Number 6. The Gem Cutters of Glimmer. The first characters of this type to ever appear, I couldn't not put the Gem Cutters on this list. Funny story, when I was a kid I always thought they looked like dogs, at least in the face, before I realized they were kangaroo rats. Let's face it, these guys are just adorable, and I couldn't have asked for a better introduction to this game than meeting them. Number 5. The Breeze Builders of Breeze Harbor. A friend once asked me long ago whose side I was on, the Landblubbers or the Breeze Builders. Being a bird lover, this was an obvious choice for me. Sure, they may have been a pain to deal with as enemies in Zephyr, and we may have had a little
trouble with the trolley,
but I've always liked this level, and these pelicans made my time there all the more worthwhile. Number 4. The Hummingbirds of Sergeant Bird's Base. I love French accents, specifically female French accents.
We didn't put up an effective resistance.
And that is why Corporal Gabrielle and the Hummingbirds take this number 4 spot. They have such pretty and colorful designs, and are all quite intelligent, seeing as their kind are the ones who taught Sergeant Bird how to fly. Even if you didn't like playing as Bird, you can't deny these ladies are awesome. Number 3. The Seahorses of Aquaria Towers.
The funny-looking guys with the shock sticks have drained all our water.
This line, that tone of voice, it has been burned into my memory for all time, as I'm sure it has been for everyone else who played this game. Aquaria Towers is unforgettable, not only for being the first true water level in Spyro, but because of the seahorses. They were the first NPCs I genuinely felt bad for. They're gentle creatures who just want their water back, and upon your arrival you can feel the sorrow just looking at poor Ripple. Why, Ripto? Why would you do this? Number 2. The Fawns of Fracture Hills. So you take Alora's family, at this point I'm just assuming they're all cousins, and make them all Valley Girls.
I was only in here because I like the peace and quiet. Anyway,
Brilliant. Listen, I may not like Fracture Hills all that much, but the Fawns are amazing. From their I could care less attitude, to their yo-yo animation, to their use of vocabulary my child brain didn't understand, these girls make this level memorable for a good reason. Well, them and the dancing pigs. And my number 1 favorite Spyro NPCs are the penguins of Frozen Altars. It's no surprise that I included all of the bird-type NPCs on this list. And the penguins are definitely my favorite of the bunch. Just look at them with their cute little flippers and quail-like plumage. I wonder what they sound like.
Purr. I don't know why, but I feel really cold.
Oh, okay. Seriously, am I the only person who thinks these guys are in possession of some, illegal substances? I guess that laser defense system wasn't the only thing Moneybags was selling. But really, the main reason they're my faves is because of their voices. I always found them funny and unexpectedly fitting to their design. Bravo, Tom Kenny, for giving such a hilariously unforgettable performance. And thank you for doing the exact same voice for Dashi in Shell and Showdown a few years later.
Nice try, but no dice. Or should I say no ice?
Hey guys, it's Miharu. The original Spyro trilogy is a relaxing, enjoyable experience. The worlds are colorful, cartoony, and whimsical, and you just get an all-around pleasant feeling. Until you're dropped into an area with a sky so dark it's like you're staring into a black hole, and suddenly everything around you has a lust for dragon blood. Not everything is what it seems in these games, and today I'm bringing you 10 things that scared us as kids. Number 10. The robots and gear grinder thieves from Hurricos. Okay, the robots themselves aren't scary, but that damn siren that goes off when they spot you is just startling. Especially on your first playthrough when you're not expecting such a loud noise. As for the gear grinder thieves, again, I think it's the alarm that goes off during this challenge that people really don't like. But the thieves themselves can look pretty intimidating to a child. Personally, I always found them cool looking. Number 9. Scorch. While I personally think he looks awesome, there's no denying the Evening Lake boss Scorch, aka my favorite boss of the whole series, is pretty terrifying. He's got the same mouthful of teeth as those flying geckos in Enchanted Towers, and huge wings, like some kind of mutated bat. Even the arena is creepy. I mean, the walls are made up of a ribcage of some giant creature, like you're fighting him inside of a dead whale or something. Number 8. The Beasts from Alpine Ridge. Noisy, gigantic, and awful. If you keep at a safe distance, these things will just stand there and roar at you, and that sound alone is enough to make you want to go back through that portal and never come here again. Okay, maybe not that extreme. In fact, a lot of people, like myself, always thought they were kinda cute. And yes, I know they look like they're from Maggie and the Ferocious Beast, but I never watched that show. Number 7. The Armored Horrors and Giant Pansies from Jacques. Okay, now this is something that may have kept people from completing the game. Hey Canadian guy, didn't you say you were scared of this level when you first played it?
Okay, it's been a while since I've seen this level, and I forgot how sick and twisted Spyro can get. These things are gonna be terrifying in the Reignited. What?
Exactly, we don't know what they are at all. Combine the already hellish landscape with these hideous nightmare creatures, and their horrible grunts and growls, and you have a recipe for what the fuck.
I don't want to hear that kind of language.
Number 6. The Killer Plants from Misty Bog. Welcome to the bane of my existence. The dragon-eating plants in Misty Bog are the main reason I hate this level, even more so than the attack frogs. The way they shake and zoom toward you so suddenly just freaks me out and gives me anxiety with how fast I have to react. When I was a kid, I didn't have the reflexes to flame them in time, and it always pissed me off. I guess I'm more angry at these things than scared of them. The bushes in Fractured Hills, same thing, just less scary without any teeth. Number 5. The Dogs from Toasty. Go look up a walkthrough of this level. I guarantee you there are at least 5 comments saying, "Those dogs used to scare the shit out of me," or "I hated those dogs." Thanks for the nightmares, Insomniac. Their aggressive bark and the splat of a flattened Spyro will continue to ring through our heads and haunt us for years to come. Number 4. The Metal Sharks from Aquaria Towers. One-hit KO enemies that are initially indestructible, the Metal Sharks are a true symbol of terror. They will stop at nothing to take a bite out of Spyro, and I mean nothing. They'll even swim on land to get it. Don't be a hero. Pay money bags.
This submarine is 100% shark-proof.
Safety first.
I guarantee it.
Number 3. The Devil Dogs from Dark Passage. I never ever attempt to attack these things in their large form. Same as with the plants, I can never react fast enough. The devil dogs are something straight out of a nightmare, with an absolutely horrifying leech-like mouth that you'll see the inside of should you get too close. The turtles are pretty scary too, made worse by the fact that they're invincible in their large form.
That's a huge bitch!
Number 2, the metalback spiders from high caves.
I hate those bugs. When I become big and strong, like you, I'll squash them all.
Until then, remember that supercharge makes you invincible.
A classic, especially for those of you with arachnophobia. They're big, creepy, impervious to normal attacks, and let's not forget fast. These bugs mostly creep me out due to their speed than anything else. Don't turn your back on them for even 1 second, or you'll get a big chomp right on the tail. They're definitely the main reason behind what makes this level so memorable. And the number 1 scariest thing from Spyro is the character models from Enter the Dragonfly.
We want this time, boss. Tricky ball. Me old Spyro. Boss.
And no, I'm just kidding. It's the snowmen from Frozen Altars. These monsters are freaky as freak. Good god, they look like Jack Frost from that low-budget horror film. Sure, they look silly with those carrots on their heads, and they of course can be easily defeated with a laser, but there's just something about being grabbed and shaken senseless by a giant demon made of snow that's difficult to forget.
I'm gonna suffocate you, you little prick.
Hey guys, it's Miharu. A while back, I did a video on my top 10 scariest things in Spyro, basically a list of freaky and downright disturbing enemies and bosses from the original trilogy. The reason I bring this up is because a few of those entries will repeat themselves in this video, but this time due to how difficult they are to deal with. Oh, and some quick rules: egg thieves don't count for this list, and neither do bosses. So, without further ado, here are my top 10 most hated enemies in Spyro. Number 10, the dogs from Toasty. And here we are, already starting off with a repeat entry. The dogs are one of the game's most iconic enemies, and for good reason. Toasty was the first level in which players experienced a difficulty spike, in part due to the lack of fodder for sparks, but mostly because of these enemies. Their aggressive bark and sudden pounce attack as you approach them can be quite startling, and they force you to react quickly to defeat them. In the original, the dodge roll could be put to good use in evading them. However, in Reignited, this is rendered ineffective as the AI seems to be smart enough to track your movements. Number 9, the metalback spiders from high caves. When it comes to enemies and platformers, there's nothing that freaks me out more than ones that are fast-moving and hard to kill. Yes, upon your first playthrough, you may have thought the metalback spiders were simply invincible, being both too big to charge and flame-resistant. Turns out, they can be killed. You just need to be quick. The thing that, bugs me most about these guys is that they just act as a massive roadblock. I'd like to be able to explore the caves and not—
Excuse me. I can't do this. Why, John? What's wrong? I can't listen to this bullshit.
I'm trying to explain. Fuck you.
Is that they just act as a massive roadblock. I'd like to be able to explore the caves and not worry about if I can make it to the next safe spot without running into something. Number 8, the plants and devil dogs from Misty Bog and Dark Passage. I'm putting these two together because they share a mutual desire to consume Spyro. The plants were the reason I hated Misty Bog as a kid, and it's still my least favorite level to this day, though in Reignited it's more so because of the Nork dudes than anything else. The devil dogs at least have a smaller form that's easy to deal with. I actually don't think I've ever killed one in its large form in the original game. I used to think it wasn't even possible, due to how precise your reaction time needs to be. Number 7, the Breeze Builders from Zephyr. The Breeze Builders are some of my favorite NPCs, but good god are they annoying as enemies, particularly the ones that fly in a circle and drop bombs to the little ones. And those guys are a pain on their own, shooting at you from afar, but then you go to take out their ammunition dropping pals only to be dive bombed when you get too close. Plus, I'm not a fan of enemies you have to hit with a cannon, like the vultures in Icy Peak and Lost Fleet. At least those ones keep to themselves. Number 6, the attack frogs from Misty Bog. Alright, last one from Misty Bog, but you could see why I hate this level, right? Oddly enough, from what I remember, the frogs actually weren't too much trouble for me as a kid, it was just the plants. but then I replayed it and got to this room. Who designed this and what were they thinking? Getting through this cave unscathed was and still is a challenge for many players. The problem is not knowing exactly when these baddies will strike. You have to inch forward just close enough to flame them, but go too far and bam, you'll get tongue lashed. Number 5. Every enemy from Mystic Marsh. Mystic Marsh may be my favorite level from Spyro 2 because of its music, beautiful atmosphere, and fun little fetch quest challenge, but my god, these enemies are awful. The rhino snails aren't too bad, but they can get in the way. The snail elephants are an absolute pain, trampling you if you can't flame them in time. The purple lemur monkeys are aggressive and the most obnoxious of the bunch, and the spark plug thieves, well, as you'd expect, are tedious to chase down and catch. Oh, and I almost forgot about the puffer platypi in the water, which you're gonna want to clear out sooner than later, trust me. Number 4, the Robo Bees and Flying Beavers
Nice beaver.
from Robotica Farms and Crystal Islands. They act the same, and I hate them both, hovering around and pelting you with their stingers and unknown projectile objects. You can hit them easily by jumping and flaming, if they don't swerve out of reach, or attack you first before you get the chance. It's no wonder Robotica Farms is my least favorite Spyro 2 level. And the beauty of Crystal Islands is soiled by these things. I'm sorry, Mr. Wizard, but could you please show me the trick again? I fell off the steps while trying to avoid this wild animal that wants to kill me.
Well, I suppose I could show you my new trick. As long as you promise not to tell the great Zamboni. He steals all my best work.
You are not gonna believe this.
Where the f you get off talking to people about me behind my back going over my head?
What people?
What people would you think I wasn't gonna find out?
Number 3, the Nort Commandos and Gatling Gun Dinos from Twilight Harbor and Dino Mines. And no, I don't just mean the originals. The chemical goo and hot dogs are just as much of a pain as bullets. I should note that these enemies are worse to deal with when working together in sync with other ones. For example, when they're operating solo, I can focus directly on them and easily jump over the stream of bullets. But when there's another enemy with a ranged attack placed near it that also has me in its line of sight, suddenly I'm forced to dodge 2 separate attacks at once, which is very difficult. I especially hate this part right at the end of Twilight Harbor. I almost always fall off the platform here, either due to the commando or the gunner. I swear, sometimes this level is worse than a frog cave. Number 2, the Clubber Rhinox from Frozen Altars. These guys were on the same level as the plants when I was a kid. What could be so bad about them? Well, for starters, their range is ridiculous. Half the time it looks like the club doesn't even touch me, but suddenly, splat, I'm a pancake. And it doesn't help that the window of time for freezing them is absurdly small. The precision required to defeat them has always been crazy to me, and to this day I still can't stand them even in Reignited. And my number 1 most hated enemy in the Spyro trilogy is...
Get over
it!
every single enemy from a Sparks level in Year of the Dragon. If there's anything I hate more than an annoying baddie, it's a swarm of annoying baddies. They're constantly coming at you from all sides, and before you know it, you're backed into a corner with no room to strafe, and the only way through is to take a direct hit. Playing these levels in Reignited really cemented my hatred for these types of enemies. Small and overwhelmingly frustrating to deal with, reminds me of another certain enemy from a certain game, but I'll get to that another time.
Hey guys, it's Miharu. The Spyro series is home to a wide variety of crazy characters. Some who want to help you on your journey, and some who want to murder you on sight. In the past, I've covered scary enemies as well as ones I hate, and now it's finally time to discuss ones I like. So let's get right into my top 10 favorite Spyro enemies from the original trilogy. Number 10. The Jackals from Haunted Tomb. This one doesn't need much explaining. I like Egyptian mythology, Anubis is cool, these jackals are cool. They don't really do anything except stand there and charge when you get too close, but they do look nice. I also really like their Reignited redesigns. Next, number 9. The Horned Rabbits from Crystal Glacier. Even though they're technically rabbits, I've always called them ice mice for the way they squeak and pop out of the snow. So what can I say? Though Crystal Glacier isn't a level I talk about often, I do like most of what it has to offer, and these little guys have always been memorable to me. Number 8. The Cat Bats from Skelos Badlands. And now we have one from Crystal Glacier's sister level. It's funny, you'd think I'd group the cat bats in the same category as the beavers and robo-bees, since they're the same type of flying, projectile-shooting enemy, but these ones are cute, at least in the original, and not nearly as annoying. They are mean though. Very mean. Number 7. The rock spitters and lava monsters from Cloud Temples and Magma Cone. If I ever made a list of favorite sounds that Spyro enemies make, this would be at least number 2. That taunting laugh. I don't care how obnoxious you may think it is, just like the egg thieves, I've always liked it. There's a charm to it that can't be replicated. So yeah, for these guys, the main reason they're on here is due to the sounds they make. But I think that's a pretty good reason, given sound effects are what most people remember anyway. Number 6. The Gear Grinder Thieves from Purikos. Though the Lightning Stone challenge may be quite tedious and annoying, I've always liked the look of these guys, at least in the original. I think it's the disproportionate, top-heavy, skipping leg day thing they've got going. Makes them look funny, but also kinda cool. They may be jerks to the Electrals, but they're fun to watch as they hop around. Number 5. The Kamikaze Tribesmen from Dr. Shem. Who doesn't remember those iconic sound effects? The Kamikazes from Dr. Shemp are definitely the most humorous of the boss level specific enemies in Spyro 1. They charge at you blindly, and if you choose to avoid them, as their name indicates, they'll hurl themselves right off the cliff in hilarious fashion. Also, if you've ever wanted to know what their faces look like, here's a full view of it on the reignited model. Number 4. The Ninja Rhinox from Fireworks Factory. These are without a doubt the cutest Rhinox in Year of the Dragon, and though they may be super annoying to deal with in the Agent 9 section, I still love them. Again, it's mostly because of the noises they make when they're defeated. You'll notice a lot of my picks, including my number 1, are based on these nostalgic sound effects. Number 3. The Weather Wizards from Magic Crafters. These little dudes are so cute. How could you not like them? Mostly in Reignited with their Orko-ish redesigns over the weird floaty eyes from the original. I remember them being one of the first enemies shown off from Reignited, in both the promo images and the teaser trailer, and I knew from that moment that this was one thing they got right. Number 2. The Cat Wizards from Charmed Bridge. Though they may be a pain to deal with in the reignited version with the more precise tracking, they've always been some of my absolute favorites simply for what they are. Cat Riptos. Meow. Isn't that what they look like? That's what I've always thought anyway. Either way, they're adorable, and I always look forward to seeing them whenever I visit Charmed Ridge. And my number 1 favorite Spyro enemy is the Genies from Shady Oasis. I expect many of you are rather confused right about now. Well, remember what I said earlier about my picks being based on nostalgic sound effects? This is my personal favorite of those sounds. That snicker, how do I describe it? It's like sassy, taunting, and cute all at once. It just brings me joy every time I hear it. And unfortunately, it's not nearly the same in Reignited, even if the genies themselves look really cool. Also, this one, attacking the thief swordsman here, is one of my favorite instances of enemy interaction.
Hey guys, it's Miharu, and we're ending off 2023 with a highly requested video I've had on the back burner for almost 4 years. The NPCs from Spyro 2 and 3 hold a special place in the hearts of many fans. They were funny, unique, bizarre, and their dialogue was often more memorable than the levels themselves. And as with any character redesign, some lived up to or even surpassed our expectations. Others didn't. So today I'm counting down my top 10 level-specific NPCs from the Reignited trilogy. Number 10. The Turtles from Sunny Beach. Specifically, the Elder Turtles. There's really not much to this one, it just comes down to me liking how their faces look, and the added details like the claws on their hands and feet, their little pointed beak mouths, the way that their eyes are partly closed all the time. I just think they look a lot more turtley. Number 9. The Fairies. In general. Okay, I'm already cheating a little with this one, but for good reason. The fairies have some of my favorite new designs out of any of the NPCs, but unfortunately the ones from Spyro 3 specifically, with the exception of Princess Ami, all use the Zoe model. However, the first game, as we know, gave each fairy type a unique design, and Reignited did a wonderful job at making them look cute. I particularly like the short-haired ones from High Caves and these new versions from Crash Team Rumble. Number 8. Crazy Ed from Lost Fleet. This is where I'd normally say the possums, but did you notice that Crazy Ed is the only NPC here besides Hunter? And I don't blame him, Lost Fleet is my least favorite level in this game. But anyway, I really like what they did with Ed here. I mean, at least it's a little bit clearer by the face that he's supposed to be a possum, whereas before I couldn't tell what they were going for. He always looked sort of mole-ish to me. I know it's weird for certain glasses-wearing characters when you can suddenly see their eyes, but I think it works here, and it's actually kinda cute. Number 7. The Fawns from Magma Cone. Again, I just think they did a good job at making them seem like basically what they are, male versions of the Fracture Hills Fawns. They still have really simplistic designs and didn't add anything to individualize them, but it's a lot more clear than what we had. If the game hadn't told me they were fawns, I wouldn't have known. I mean, it was already confusing to me as a kid that Elora looked so drastically different from the rest of the girl fawns, but then you get to Magma Cone and you're like, what? Anyway, I just think these guys got an update, even if it is a small one. Number 6. The Satyrs from Fracture Hills. Did you know that in Greek mythology, satyrs are actually supposed to have horse-like features? Along with some other things I probably shouldn't mention here? Anyway, I really like the new designs of these guys, especially the Alchemist, who actually looks a lot younger. And I get that him being old and senile was like the point, but I just like the way he looks in general. The satyrs in the original always kind of creeped me out with their faces, like I don't know what's going on with their 5 o'clock shadow, but yeah, I guess I like the fact that they look less human, even though I know they're supposed to be part human, but I just prefer the more animalistic look as it fits better with the Spyro universe. Number 5. The Lions from Sunny Villa. Yet another case of me thinking that these guys actually look like what they're supposed to. I know a lot of people probably couldn't tell what they were in the original. Due to the Roman setting and the fact that they had tails, I think I always kind of knew, but they're supposed to be lions. Don't ask me why the males don't have manes or anything, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if most people thought they were like teddy bears or something. Another simple but great update, and they're still just as cute, I think. Number 4, the purple villagers from Enchanted Towers. Okay, so these dudes always looked weird to me. I could never tell what they were supposed to be back then. I still can't, and apparently no one else can either. But despite that, there is one particular reason I prefer their reignited designs. They look like Ratchet and Clank characters. And like, I can't explain why they do, but I look at them and they just do. They give off that vibe. So any Ratchet fans in the comments, let me know if you think this too. Number 3, the polar bears from Icy Peak. I've always liked these guys, but they are so much cuter in Reignited. The clothes and colors are spot on. Definitely some of the more faithful redesigns of anyone on this list. At least, the boys are. Nancy looks fine, but I don't like the way she's looking at me. The makeup might be a bit too heavy. Number 2, the rabbits from Dino Mines. They're cute, and they all look like Bianca's cousins. That's all I really have to say. The originals had a case of that creepy satyr face going on, and I just think Reignited did a great job with all the rabbit character designs. I mean, Bianca looks amazing, so it only makes sense I would like how these guys look too. I'm especially fond of Deputy Holiday since his ears are up, and it's just adorable. And my number 1 favorite NPC redesign is the mountain goats from Sheila's Alp. The mountain goats are a perfect blend of everything I love about the other NPCs on this list. It's clear what they are, they each have unique horn shapes so you can tell them apart, and most importantly, they're cute! Sure, the concept art is even better, as that even gives them different ear shapes, but even without the extra details, they still manage to be excellent recreations of these iconic Forgotten Worlds inhabitants. And there you have it, my top 10 NPC redesigns from the Reignited trilogy. Again, if you haven't already seen it, be sure to check out my original list, where my choices are based on personality, voices, and things other than just appearances. It's old, but I still feel the same way about all of them. Hey guys, it's Miharu, and since you all enjoyed my last top 10 video so much, I thought I'd follow up on that. As I alluded to previously, Reignited, while making some wonderful updates to the Spyro world and characters, just completely missed the mark on some of its NPCs, many of which were actually favorites of mine from the original. So, because I couldn't think of 10, let's get into my top 5 worst level-specific NPCs. Number 5, the Fireflies from Spooky Swamp. Just like with the last list, cuteness is going to be a recurring factor here, except this time it's me complaining about how it's been taken away. That being said, why the teeth? Why was that a feature that was needed? Listen, I don't have a problem with big buck teeth, but they just look so bad on these characters. And they call Sleepyhead creepy. Also, why do Basho and Busan not stand out anymore? Now they're just the same as the other guys, but with glasses. Still just as annoying though, I guess. Number 4, the seals from Seashell Shore. Why? This concept art looks fine, so why? I get that seals and sea lions have whiskers, points for authenticity. I even think the teeth actually work, but they don't have to look high. What's with the droopy eyelids? Why is that a common occurrence in Reignited? It doesn't add any personality, it just makes them look suspicious. I'm supposed to want to help these people reclaim their homes, right? Because they're making it really difficult for me to want to do that. Number 3, the seahorses from Aquaria Towers. I already don't like how the regular seahorses look with their giant heads. I have a problem with the disproportionate nature of a lot of these NPCs, can't you tell? But oh god, the absolute worst offender here is King Flippy. What in the ever-loving flip did they do to him? He looks like a melting gonzo. I get he's supposed to be a bit more plump than the others, but he didn't have to let himself go this badly. Number 2, the pandas from Bamboo Terrace. Okay, once again, super cute concept sketches that didn't translate well into 3D. Say what you want about how unsettling their low-poly vacant stares were, but I'd much rather have that than whatever these weird smiles are. The way they spoke perfectly complemented how they looked, too. And I don't get that at all with these redesigns. Like in the original, if I didn't help Shui, I felt guilty, but here, yeah, you're right, I do have more important things to do. See ya! Before we move on to number 1, some dishonorable mentions. And my number 1 least favorite Reignited NPC is the Tikis from Molten Crater. You probably all saw this one coming since I made it pretty obvious, but of all the drastic changes that Reignited made, this is one of the worst. The original Tikis annoyed the heck out of me when I was a kid, but over time I grew to appreciate just how much they embody the nostalgic feeling that Spyro 3 brings. And it's not just that the remake made them look, well, gross, what with their unnecessarily huge smiles and unfitting dark color palette, but as you can probably tell, it's the voices that made them who they were, just like with the original Frozen Altars penguins. I'm sorry, but the Kiwi accents just aren't doing it for me. It's just not the same without these guys trying to convince me the Tiki Lodge isn't a cult while sounding like Skeletor.
Join the Tiki Lodge, it's not a cult, I swear. Join us or we'll find you. We have ways of making you join the Tiki Lodge.
And there you guys have it. Short list, but I think it sums up that my issues with Reignited are few when compared to things I like about it. Hey guys, it's Miharu. And what do you know? Another top 10 on Spyro enemies. 'Cause that's something I've totally never talked about before. Anyway, this is my top 10 enemy redesigns in the Spyro Reignited trilogy. Number 10, the Devil Cupids from Dark Passage and Lofty Castle. These things were always creepy, perfectly complementing the nightmarish hellscape that is Dreamweaver's. But the new ones really lean into that chubby little gremlin look, and I kinda love that. Something that this game's art style does really well is the balancing of shapes. On one hand, you have the round faces and bodies, but you also have the sharp, pointy horns. I have a preference for more angular styles of art, but a good combination is always welcome. Number 9, the TNT and Gunfighter Dinos from Dino Mines. I hate this level, but I've always been a dinosaur girl, so of course I like these guys. But only them, not them. I love the new details on their clothing and the fact that they're not just lava lizard recolors. Then there's the concept art, which is just great. Look at him. Look at that face. It's beautiful. Number 8, the Jackals from Haunted Tomb. The original Jackals were already some of my favorite enemies, and honestly, I think I might still prefer that simplistic look a bit more, but this is a great update. The extra armor pieces are a really nice touch, as it gives a clearer indication that they're meant to be charged or head bashed. It also makes their ears look a little more weaponized. The only real complaint I have is that their faces lean more toward cat than dog. Number 7. The metal sharks from Aquaria Towers.
Oh, he looks so shiny!
Some of the most memorable and terrifying baddies to come out of the Spyro series, the metal sharks were redesigned fantastically. While the originals looked very creepy with their humanoid eyes, they never really struck me as actual robots, more like regular sharks just with metal armor. These things, with their glowing red eyes and detailed construction, look man-made, like they were created specifically for the purpose of terrorizing the inhabitants. Number 6. The genies from Shady Oasis. Hey, my number 1 favorite enemy from the originals, and honestly, if they still had that laugh, they might be even higher on this list. But I do love how they look here. The glowing eyes, the finer details on the clothing. The only thing I wish they would have kept is the overall pink and purple color scheme. But to be fair, that could just be an in-game lighting issue. Their new appearance also gives the implication that they could be some kind of subspecies of thieves, which I'm a big fan of as it strengthens the lore. Number 5. The Breeze Builders from Zephyr. I like birds. Ignoring how obnoxious they are to actually deal with, especially these ones with their stupidly long range, the Breeze Builders were definitely given a lot more personality in this version. Even the little guys look ready for war. And fun fact, the TNT parrots are shown with cigars in their concept art and turnarounds, but don't actually appear with them in-game. In fact, the version of this art in the gallery seems to have been edited to remove that detail. Number 4. The Tin Soldiers from Haunted Towers. Man, do I love a good suit of armor. And an evil one is even better. The originals were pretty cool, but a little too plain. So how do we fix that? By giving them a shiny coat of paint and an eerie green glow, of course. And even if it has nothing to do with their appearance, that evil laugh they do when brought to life is just mwah, icing on the cake. Number 3. The Lava Lizards from Skelos Badlands. Probably the most iconic enemy in Spyro 2, Reignited absolutely did these guys justice in my eyes. While I do miss the red-orange gradient color scheme of the originals, the new ones managed to strike that balance of scary, cute, and derpy by taking the most prominent features and exaggerating them in the best way possible. Number 2. The Weather Wizards from Magic Crafters. Hey, the Orcos are back! I'm honestly so glad I have a lot of repeat entries from my general favorite enemies list, cause it just goes to show that I appreciate the amount of care that Toys for Bob put into updating the ones I liked most. That being said, it's pretty obvious why these dudes captured my attention the way they did. If you really think about it, not much about them changed at all. This was a very natural design update, and all they did was amp up the cuteness factor. Simple, yet effective. And my number 1 favorite enemy redesign is the Cat Wizards and Witches from Charmed Ridge. I've made the Ripto comparison with these guys before, but that's what they are, and they're adorable. The witches in particular are so pretty with their long eyelashes and fluffy tails, and all their mouths and fangs are much more visible now. See? This is how you redesign a cat enemy. Looking at you, Skelos Badlands. Hey guys, it's Miharu. It's time once again to talk about NPCs, those quirky little creatures Spyro bumps into on his adventures. Everyone remembers the NPCs from the original trilogy for their silly voices and charming designs, but not many people talk about the ones that came after. Though the quality of games would fluctuate from that point on, the series would still continue the trend of featuring worlds with unique inhabitants. Some of them I wouldn't mind seeing return someday. So let's shine a spotlight on these overshadowed occupants of the Dragon Realms and beyond, and discuss the Spyro NPCs you forgot about. Let's start with adult female dragons. No, not that one. These ones. Since the beginning, many fans, including myself, have wondered, where are all the female dragons? I mean, those eggs must come from somewhere, so they definitely exist. And they do, but we wouldn't get to see them until 2004 with the release of A Hero's Tale and the debut of Mrs. Shoutfire. This elderly nanny runs a nursery in Dragon Village and offers Spyro rewards for recovering her stolen eggs. But it didn't stop there. For just 1 year later in 2005, the Nintendo DS game Shadow Legacy would give us even more of these characters. The Dragon Dojo Elder Cho-Lei, the upbeat and fun-loving Brigid, the quiet, reserved Mrs. Funderlick, and Caitlin, who I'm pretty sure is just this game's version of Mrs. Shoutfire. It's honestly kinda disappointing that this had to be our introduction to adult female dragons, and even sadder knowing they could have been in Reignited, but the idea never went anywhere. If you were to ask people what the best game in the classic series is after the originals, most would probably say A Hero's Tale. Sure, it's basically just Spyro's answer to Jak and Daxter, but hey, at least it's playable. And we even got quite an interesting variety of NPCs out of it. Stone Daughters, smartly dressed penguins, mermaids who don't know what dragons are, and then there's these two, the Ice Princess and Tina. One a fox from the Ice Citadel, and the other a hyena from Molten Mount. Opposites, but both cute furry girls and memorable only to those very familiar with the game. So who is the Ice Princess? Well, first off, that isn't even her real title, apparently.
I am the Ice Princess. Because it's freezing in here!
I mean, from her clothing, we can infer she probably is royalty, but this implies she literally names herself based on whatever the weather happens to be like. Anyway, she doesn't do much besides complain about the cold and reward you with a light gem after lighting all the boilers in the Citadel. Then we have Tina, who sounds like if Twilight Sparkle were being relentlessly tickled.
Those rock monsters burned down my house! I'm actually quite sad!
She tasks you with getting rid of the rock monsters that destroyed her home, and rewards you with a dragon egg once you do so. A fun idea for a character type that could have very well worked in the originals. Remember when Ember had a crush on Spyro? How that lasted for one game before she decided to move on after receiving a love letter from another guy? Well, that guy was Bandit, an armadillo from Shadow Legacy's version of Clifftown. So, what happened there? Well, it's simple. When Bandit visited Dragon Village with offerings of friendship, he caught sight of Ember and instantly fell in love with her. He then asks Spyro to deliver his letter, and upon reading it, she says, "Tell Bandit, I said yes." That's it. Have you ever wanted to see Hunters, Biancas, or Moneybags' extended families? No? Well, too bad, because for whatever reason, Shadow Legacy decided it was completely necessary to include them. First, we have Akello, Hunter's father, who resides in Avalar's savannah. Huh, looks like that was already a thing. Anyway, Akello was the king of the Cheetah clan, making Hunter a prince, I guess. He also had an advisor, Kasi, who temporarily took control of the clan after Akello fell ill due to the effects of the calamity. Kasi is like the precursor to Chief Prowless from Dawn of the Dragon, as they both blame Spyro for their misfortunes as well as Hunter for defending him. Whereas Prowless was willing to admit his mistakes though, Kasi was not, and is eventually thrown behind bars himself after Akello recovers. Moving along, we have the Bunny Bayou, this game's version of Lost Fleet, home to Bianca's hillbilly cousins, Bruno, Lucia, and Teresa. As you can probably guess, all their quests involve you helping get their farmland back to normal. Huh, no wonder Bianca left to study magic under the sorceress. And then there's Moneybags, with his wife and kids. I wish I were making that up. Anyway, he and Mrs. Moneybags have 4 sons: Marshall, Marvin, Maxwell, and Mervyn. There's also Minibags from Attack of the Rhinox, who is apparently Moneybags' nephew, implying he has a sibling too. Why is his family so big? Can you imagine if it extended into Skylanders somehow? Oh wait, it did. Sorta. This is Auric the Banker, a character who appears only in the console versions of Spyro's Adventure, Giants, and Trap Team. And he's actually not related to the Greedy Bear at all. Rather, he is him, just with a different name.
Moneybags is in there.
Yes.
But we changed his name to something else for whatever reason.
He plays largely the same role as Moneybags did in A Hero's Tale, selling various trinkets in exchange for gold. The Skylander series is definitely not for everyone, but it still gave us some fun characters. Stealth Elf, Chaos, Flynn, Callie. We do remember Callie, right? The fearless Mabu explorer who embraces challenge and laughs in the face of danger, yet somehow always finds herself the damsel in distress, having been captured on multiple occasions. You know who you probably don't remember though? This girl. This is Tessa from Swap Force, a fox from the village of Woodborough with an adventurous spirit and exceptional leadership skills, which eventually leads her to become the village's new chiefess. It's unfortunate that even the most entertaining characters who have a prominent role in the plot often get overlooked simply for originating from a game that's not well liked. So, even if you have no interest in actually playing the games, I do encourage everyone to at least look up some cutscenes just to get a taste of what you might be missing out on.